Started.
Do your thing. Yep. Yeah.
All right.
And hear the
That's pretty awesome,
crowd
dude.
cheering.
We're in. Oh, we got the
Anybody want
lights
some
going
merch?
too. With Dimitri's got the lights.
Give me some merch.
That's right.
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Surviving. It's
Good.
Wednesday, hump day.
The sun is out
Come on, we gotta be
in the
more
Pacific
optimistic than
Northwest,
that.
so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
And it's only
Yeah.
102 in Merida, but went to see the Mayan ruins. That was pretty cool. If you ever get a chance to do that down here, it's fantastic education and history.
Oh yeah, the Mayans. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, they're pretty
Oh, that's
amazing.
incredible.
But you did that with 102-degree weather?
Yikes.
Oh my God.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing that they did that in 900 after Christ. They built those things. It's just like,
Really?
yeah.
Crazy.
And they actually another factoid: the Mayans invented the number 0.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
As in
That was
zeros
like
and ones,
elementary school.
which you can't have. We wouldn't have
Bits
this
and
whole
bytes.
industry without the zero, because
Yeah. Imagine they invented the concept of nothing.
there you go. Actually, the interesting.
Profound if you really think about it.
Yeah, I was down in that area, Steve, in Tulum once, and we visited a bunch of ruins, and there was a like a stadium or something where they played this game. The Mayans played a game where you had to get the ball through the ring.
Donut.
And the thing was, like, if you won, you were killed. Like, so that was the
Well,
And then
actually, I thought it was the other way around. I thought
no.
it wasn't a ball. I think it was the head.
Well,
It was somebody's head, right?
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you win, you die because you have exalted yourself to become like the thing. So sudden death, I guess that's where that term came from.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So,
Death over
hey,
time.
we got to do our intro and disclosure, guys. So, welcome everyone to IoT Coffee Talk, and we really appreciate you, dialing in here, joining us for whatever kind of conversation we're going to have. But remember to take us seriously at your own damn risk. It's a really bad idea. So enjoy the show. We're just having fun. And we look forward to you reacting to our discussion here. And hey, let's get going.
There you go.
There you go.
Leonard, you look like you're on the move
Safe
somewhere
harbor.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm at the NAB show here, which is the National Association of Broadcasters show. So
Cool.
if you want to know everything that's going on in the broadcast and media production world, this is where you come. And it's, I think it's a great show. It's pretty huge. I think they get close to 90,000 attendees.
Wow.
So yeah, they filled up
huge.
about 3 halls here this
Probably
year.
some
I don't know
nice
if they
gear
got
down
that
there.
number. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, you remember when they first introduced camcorders way back in the day? They've come a hell of a long way. I'll tell you that right now.
Imagine.
So do you mean that 80% of the people are just YouTubers hanging around with themselves? So,
Well, you know what's that guy, Mr. Beast? That guy is a bit of a, he's kind of a celebrity here. He's a bit of that face of broadcasters of the future. There's a lot of talk about,
Right.
what do they call it? Private streaming services and people trying to be like a one-man shop or a smaller shop that's able to broadcast content, and a lot of that related technology is being talked about quite a bit here. And so
And Leonard, did you hear anything about ATSC 3.0?
Oh yeah.
So
A lot of it.
Yeah. So my client is that OTA Wireless, which is the Scripps and Nexstar joint venture, bringing it to market. And so we're actually going live in San Diego in 2 weeks. It's a pretty cool technology. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it when from what you're hearing there.
so what is it?
Yeah.
ATSC 3.0. It's a one-way You can send gigabytes of data to millions of devices simultaneously for really inexpensive gigabyte rates. But it's one.
It's like it's a broadcast technology, television broadcast technology, digital, right? And so it takes things.
Is it kind of a compression?
No, it's a wide open 600 megahertz pipe, but it's one to many, Dimitri. So it's gigabytes to millions. So
just be like for Xfinity or Comcast would use it.
No, actually it's for like signage. Imagine sending a one button to millions of digital signage boards, data and video instantly.
Well, that's
so you're broadcasting to endpoint devices. So like, okay.
Correct. It's a Sony chipset that's on the end.
Yeah, and so it contends with, in a certain way, actually, in a lot of ways, with 5G multicast broadcast.
Correct.
And so there's this whole battle now going on the device to actually the cellular people are trying to keep ATSC 3.0 off of the device. But I don't know if you guys heard, but the Indian government is, I think, they're moving to require ATSC 3.0 because they're adopting it as a broadcast standard because it's cheap, right? But that's going to force a lot of smartphone OEMs who sell into the Indian market to include those modules and exactly.
Extra radio.
And so our friends at at Qualcomm and Samsung are not too happy about that, because they want 5G to prevail. But so interesting thing, and here's the interesting thing though. There's a lot of talk about convergence and interworking, which is an interesting word, between ATSC 3.0 and 5G, and somehow in certain situations, having this convergence model. It's like really complicated stuff. It's weird about the show. These guys throw up these ridiculous eye charts, right, and technical diagrams with a shit ton of like acronyms you've never heard before. But the gist of it is that they want ATSC 3.0 and 5G multicast or broadcast to play with each other,
interoperate,
interoperable.
Well, it's
but actually in most cases, ATSC 3.0 being able to run that kind of service, being able to ride on top of a cellular service, right, or a cellular network.
I see.
So there's work being done now to propose a working group project in the 3GPP to enable this convergence in release 20. So that proposal is in the process. And so that's a really interesting development. So maybe we're not going to be arguing with it. We're not going to see these guys fighting with each other, but the protocols and modalities kind of coming together. But we'll see, because, that just adds more junk on top of a device that you have to deal with.
Well, I mean, one of the other things, Pete, is that almost all of the car companies are experimenting with it as well, because we at the Scripps and Nextar group, we did a test in Detroit, going from Detroit to Grand Rapids and back, where we were able to hand off live TV in the back seats of the car going over 80 miles an hour, while sending OTA stuff to the front of the car simultaneously through the same chipset. So, so when you start to look at real live TV in vehicles or in devices and the downloadable content, you will always need a return path. And so right now the return path on the demo kits that we have, the dev kits out, are LTE. just to be able to get the acknowledgement of the packets going through. And then you also have this technology in it called carouseling, where you can set up all the video and set up all the data and to ensure that it all gets to the cars as they're driving and the updates. Instead of it like Wi-Fi where you do a Tesla update over days, this is a rotating carousel download where you can actually get it done pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's sort of like, I mean, I heard of some stats, they 70 or 80% of the internet traffic is video. And so this sounds like, how do you push video massive amounts in a much more efficient way over spectrum or
without taking cellular spectrum?
Because it's kind of, they're probably reaching reaching capacity in a lot of networks. It's just too much video being streamed. And so if there's a more efficient way, now, of course, there's always, whenever there's a problem to be solved, there's always at least two good ways of doing it, and they compete with each other. So,
and keep in mind, it would, I mean, the hope here would be to, kind of bring back linear content, which I don't know, that for years, with this on-demand stuff, that whole, I don't know if people are trained to consume content that way anymore.
Other than sports.
We like on-demand. So live sports and stuff.
Yep, we've been
with the vehicle advances. I mean, do they expect it to come much faster than predicted, where they're not going to have the antennas on the vehicles, or it's going to be an aftermarket thing to be able to?
Actually, the automotive antenna design companies have built the design, because it's 600 megahertz, so it's very small, and remember, it's coming from the top of the TV tower stations. So the power coming out of there is huge and goes all the way out to the edge of the distance from the TV tower. So
horizon,
60, 70 miles.
So it's pretty low in the frequency spectrum area. So it propagates for a long distance.
And the penetration into buildings is excellent too. So they're starting to look at, that's why the digital signage, like Leonard, the West Hall of the convention centers, that big bank of TVs, those Samsungs that are up there, that is all 3.0, ATSC 3.0 there.
So people will be able to watch IoT Coffee Talk in the back of their Mercedes limousine.
Hell yeah.
Live.
Cruising down to 280 at, high speeds. It's fantastic.
We will be big when we go live.
Well, from what I've seen on the Wikipedia, it's really at the level of the encoding of the videos. So it's independent from whatever you broadcast it on the frequencies. So it's really a low-level implementation, effective way to broadcast video signal up to 4K.
Yeah.
So which basically means that it could replace kind of transmission over the internet, but you're gonna need specific hardware to demodulate.
It's the Sony chipset is a big piece.
Yeah. So this is great. Dimitri, you're like our live research analyst. Look up crap while we're
live
talking about esoteric stuff. That's awesome.
I'm a geek. So
you are a geek.
And my father worked in the television network, so I'm still familiar with acronym you never heard about, called ANTIOP, which was Accès numérique et télévisuel à des images ordonnées en pages d'écriture, which basically means it was a standard to broadcast text pages within TV signals.
Well, then maybe I should send you one of the developer kits for you to play with and give us feedback.
That could be fun. So, but there was a lot of research in the 80s in France on how you could do with a TV signal. So having pages, we actually had pages on the TV, and it was used for stock markets type of services.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah. Back in the 80s.
So was it like the teletext, or was it like the
teletext? Yes. So that's at ANTIOP is actually one of the standards for
there
teletext.
You go. Yeah. Full circle.
And I still have my Minitel.
Minitel, that's right. Remember the Minitel. Cool.
So makes it a pretty interesting conference, obviously.
And it's interesting that the broadcasters are getting into data like they are. You would have.
Oh yeah.
They don't have much choice, though, right?
No, they don't. I mean, and it's also, Bill, it's frequency protection, spectrum protection too. That a lot of that's being discussed.
Right. Well, and also I imagine there's just like what we're doing here. I mean, the equipment that we're using just to do this show relative to what was available 10 years ago is outstanding. And so everyone is able to really up their production game these days, even, as an individual. It's pretty impressive. I'm using StreamYard for a series that I'm doing. And I mean, the production values, the microphones, the cameras, everything is, and then using AI in post-production and things like that to really, it's impressive. So I'm sure that's a topic down there too.
Yeah. Well, and
speaking of topics, Pete, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
TinyML, man, I love that.
TinyML Foundation. Yeah, very excited.
My God, perfect.
I know. I've been swimming in lots of emails and getting CC'd on lots of things. The TinyML Summit is next week in Burlingame. And if anyone's in the area, you should go.
I'm expecting an invite.
All right. We'll work on it.
So why call it TinyML? All ML is tiny.
Yeah, relatively speaking, it's a relative term, isn't it? I mean, relative to the 1.8 trillion, data point models that OpenAI is working on, everything's tiny. So you're right. It's anything around AI on things, really. It's really about AI in resource constrained environments. And they just had a good seminar on generative AI models and how those can be optimized for resource constrained environments. So there's a lot of interesting work, especially in academia too, about how to sort of fit things in there.
There was an interesting article I saw, I think yesterday, where our friend Rick Bulota commented in, where it's actually a researcher who actually, rather than trying to build neural systems that have billions of neurons like humans, they look at small organisms because they know how to behave and how to be autonomous. So it's an interesting approach. So mimicking like a bee, which has, I think, a billion neuron, as opposed to a human that has 75 billion.
Well, when we talk about artificial intelligence, we sort of default to human intelligence, but there's all kinds of intelligence out there, right? I mean, artificial cephalopod intelligence could be really interesting too, right? I mean, who knows?
The reason I'm mentioning that is because apparently there are applications actually for smaller systems, because if you want a smaller autonomous system,
bees, have incredible intelligence and kind of do amazing things. So I think it's a fascinating space. There's a lot of work in academia right now, as you can imagine, on all this stuff. And virtually every college and university has got, I think in the TinyML community, we have about 70,000 students around the world taking TinyML classes and things on edX and whatever. So it's a big community. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, compression is huge, right? I mean, that's an area that I think a lot of people are going to start talking about. I mean, we've been talking about it on this show for a long time, but there's such a fixation on those massive models that are being trained in the hyperscale clouds, right? But being able to bring these models down to the device, that's actually it's going to be necessary, because you can't securely deploy a public massive large language model. The security is just not there, doesn't matter what people say. That's just like one of the massive points of denial at the moment that everyone's going to have a rude awakening about in probably the next 6 months, as everyone makes this enterprise AI push, right? Like, it's like weird, man. People just don't do their homework, it's like, it's astonishing.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of disappointing chatbots out there in about 6 months.
There already are.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, sorry. They're already there.
No, I'm serious, man. And these guys here at NAB, they tried to front all this Gen AI stuff, and they had some dude walk in with like a friggin' like sexy robot hooked up to ChatGPT, and I guess they tuned it to have like a kind of a snarky attitude. But there was a press event, and this thing started like getting really dark.
Yeah,
and one of the questions somebody asked was, "So, how do you like working with human beings?" He's like, you're okay for the moment. And it was like, okay, is that it? was like, that's a creepy ass response, to a question.
Oh, that just lets you know the sentient is coming for you.
That's right.
Yes.
But and it doesn't need to be human level intelligence. Just plug one of these things in and have it act like one of those psychotic game characters in a game that has this apocalyptic tendency, and then hook it up to friggin' NORAD. Game over.
War games.
It doesn't have to be super. Yeah, it doesn't have to be super intelligent to figure out how to destroy the world.
That's right.
But I mean, that happens, right? I mean, for people that are gamers, for those of us that actually play games and you play against the computer, you can see intelligence improve as you improve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This stuff has been there for a long time, right? Gaming companies have been dabbling with neural networks and gaming and
forever.
For NPCs forever.
Well, you should. I did rewatch the movie War Games a few weeks ago, and with Matthew Broderick, and it's really it's a great movie. First of all, and it's so nostalgic, but. Yeah, it's all about their AI computer war gaming and blah blah blah. And, it's so prescient. I mean, you could I'm surprised it hasn't been remade yet. Maybe it's already in the process. But
please don't do that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: humanity will not be destroyed by smart AI. It'll be destroyed by stupid humans. And that's really you can just see it. And I have like severe AI fatigue at this point.
Yeah, you guys have heard me say that
crazy
in the past, but I think the thing is, it's very little intelligence in what we do in AI right now. We just feed it with human digitized content. It's machine learning.
Right.
And I've always said that I find artificial intelligence a very arrogant term from us humans. And I'm actually hopeful that at some point we'll develop a technology that can actually become smarter or wiser than the human race in itself. Yeah. But it's surely not going to happen by feeding machine learning models with content we have created. You're going to get war games if you do that. I mean, seriously, if you look at the story.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
Ignorance in.
Yeah.
But you're right, Dimitri. It isn't that intelligent because I was watching the press interact with this chat doll, sex bot, or whatever the hell it was. you realize that there is no intelligence here. It's a completely one-way interaction. Do you know what I'm saying? You're asking it questions and responding, but what it never does is it never really asks you stuff, right? I mean, it's not really conversational at all.
That's true. It's responsive.
It's still very basic, but that was like, something that I kind of realized that I was just like witnessing these people just asking like really weird ass questions to this thing and getting these horrific and highly disturbing responses from this bot. Well, and the other classical thing was, this thing, it was like, I don't know, they programmed it, or I don't know what they did, but the thing was like moving around a little bit, what the hell's this?
Oh, we lost your video.
Lost your video.
Oh.
I want to try that thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, but what it ended up doing, it ended up like slapping the CEO of this company as he's trying to, kind of explain the demo. And then people kind of freaked out a little bit because, for a moment, people thought that this animatronic doll was going to attack him.
Yeah. It's like,
but, I mean, it's just a friggin' circus act.
These are the laws of robotics.
People are so fascinated by this stuff. And then I jokingly posted, "Hey, Walt Disney was way ahead of his time. He did this crap. What?
Yeah, remember Abe Lincoln? That was a good one.
Ages ago. Cool. Yeah, that was cool, right?
Cool. Hall of Presidents. Remember that one? Yeah.
It just seems like all of the robots that they make to look or try to act human-like, those are the worst ones. It's the robotics that are actually being used in plants and manufacturing facilities that are moving items or picking items.
Yeah.
That's the reality of where we are. Not
that's right.
Robots that you
the
see
humanoid robot one. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, and it gets a lot of headlines and it's very entertaining. I think there is a role there somewhere for humanoid robots. Probably not at trade shows making jokes, but somewhere there's a role for it. But yeah, you're right, Stephanie. Most of the form factors for robots are actually doing work don't look like humans. And
I feel like
isn't it weird that we have all dogs? We have dogs.
Oh yes, and I feel like at every conference they got to have somebody has to have a robot. Like it's like,
oh yeah,
it's the gimmick on stage as well, and it's annoying at this point.
Yeah, the CES robots are not drawing people into the booths.
Well, you seen the story about the robot that we use at the Formula One Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia? You've seen that one?
Yes.
It's not true. It's a true story, but
yep.
Yes. That one.
Well, but there was a humanoid robot doing an interview, and apparently the robot put his hand on the journalist's butt. and obviously my first reaction was, well, he was trained with human data. What did you expect?
It was a beautiful butt.
Naughty robots.
Well, apparently it was a glitch somewhere, but
yeah.
And you have to laugh about everything, otherwise it's awful. That's actually, have we ever seen an AI? Oh, that's a good point. When is AI going to start laughing? Have you seen a chatbot laughing? Yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
Good idea.
I'm scared when that.
I've seen chatbots generate some jokes. They obviously can generate a lot.
Yeah, but laughing, the concept of laugh. This is what we need to do. We need to find some researcher to inject the concept of laugh in a chatbot. That's right. It's going to be
that's breaching the point of emotion at that point, right?
Emotional intelligence.
Naturally, if it can laugh, then it can cry, and if it can cry, then it has feelings. And now here we go. How do you identify?
Then it could be.
How do you identify and all of this other stuff? I mean, it's just at this point, no, Jared.
I think that'll wait for the 8 trillion data point model.
Is the robot in a bad mood today? A good mood today?
Yeah, exactly. Is it pissed at you or happy with you?
I mean, now then your robot needs to wake up and have coffee because
it needs to wake up.
It needs to get going.
Right. With us, obviously. So we have the tagline for the new company: "If it ain't loud, it ain't smart."
That's right.
Next gen AI. If it ain't smart, if it ain't life, it ain't smart.
There you go.
There you go. Okay, got it.
By the way, speaking of AI, I don't know if you saw that. I guess Apple's having their event June 10th. Is it? I think they're going to have talk about maybe the rumor is AI on the next iPhone OS update and what's happening there. So it'll be interesting to see. I think there was some speculation about how much processing, speaking of on device, they'll be doing on the device versus the cloud. And so it'll be, I think we've seen the AI PC, we've seen, as everyone's seen, Leonard was saying AI is everywhere, but Apple really has been super quiet about AI. So it'll be interesting to see their take on what they'll do.
It will be shocking.
I mean,
it will be shocking if too many things happen on the, it will be shocking.
It just boils down to, sorry, that's like Dimitri. No, I mean, come on. It's not like Apple hasn't been in the game. That's the most ridiculous thing. They're the first, along with Qualcomm, to introduce neural processors into smartphone SoCs. That was in 2016. They were ahead of everybody. And, they're not slouches in the ML. And, when you come here, you usually don't see them in on a panel or anything like that. Those dudes are here,
right? And
they're doing leading edge stuff. And so, I always laugh when people say Apple's not innovating. It's like, oh God,
no.
And all this AI on the smartphone stuff is ending up being is more memory and more pops for your MPU. That's all it's like boiling down to.
A lot of RAM.
And Pete, you probably have frame the question right here, because I think the question when it comes to Apple, this is why I was saying, I would be shocked if too many things happen on the cloud. It's because Apple is very strong on privacy. So there's a lot of things that never leave the device. So they're probably trying, my guess or my hope, I would say my hope more than my guess, is that they're trying to find a way to actually keep the things local so you control your privacy.
Probably. I think it'll be an interesting hybrid architecture. I think also they will be supercharging, real valuable experiences with AI as opposed to saying it's an AI phone or anything like that. I actually appreciate Apple not sort of AI washing a lot of their stuff. And
Agreed.
We'll see.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's a matter of time that people realize, oh, well, they have been doing this. Yeah. And then that, this whole AI thing is not a big deal because we've been doing it for a long time. And the whole idea is running like a friggin' entire, 70 billion parameter Llama 2 model on your device. Well, hey, let's start talking about compression, and TinyML, right? That's really where a lot of the innovation needs to go and is going, has been going. And, Apple's in the game, Qualcomm's in the game big time. I sat down with some of their engineering folks, and they have a long legacy in video compression, model compression of ML, and now.
Oop, I think we lost a little bit of your audio there, sir.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just pick up where he left off. I was saying Qualcomm. Oh, go ahead. We were saying that Qualcomm's had a long history of, NPUs and AI accelerated silicon. They're in a great position, as well as a lot of other folks too. But
I just got an email. I got an email today from the ARM team, and it's essentially Renee Haas's commentary about power consumption and how AI is generating and pulling so much power, and then the whole need to really start to focus in on energy consumption when it comes to all of these AI tools and apps and software and whatever, if it's on device or wherever it's being computed. It's the power issue. You talked about safety and security, but also the power issue is something to be concerning about. I think about the iPhone and whatever they're going to be announcing. If they're doing a lot of things on device, I feel like we've just now reached a point where we could use our phone for the most part all day without having to worry about it.
Yeah,
that could change. I don't know what they're going to do about all of this.
Right. Well, the good news is I think that a lot of the AI acceleration silicon architectures are designed to be pretty power efficient and keep that sort of in a more power efficient mode while the rest of the phone does something else. So I think if you run it all in the CPU, obviously you'd kill your battery, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, but that's in the absence of training, right? Because the majority of that energy consumption happens with the training of the model.
Right. So if we're talking about personalization, customization of the consumer, the handset user, whatever, then what happens with power consumption?
Yeah, but Bill, you're making a really good point there. So I saw that. I don't know if it's a news story or a blog thing that ARM dropped, but you're absolutely right, Bill. When you look at this whole AI power efficient compute thing or sustainability thing, you really can't mix the edge stuff with the training stuff that's happening in these massive, supercomputing data centers, right? They're two different problems, and ARM plays in both of them to a certain degree. But I think this is a topic where people are going to get super confused just because they don't, they're either come from one domain, they don't know the other. And you're going to see a lot of people just lose their bearing, But you're making a great point, and it's an important thing that maybe on our show we continue to reinforce and educate to our listeners, because they're not the same freaking thing. Very, very different dynamics happening, And edge, edge AI is. Huh?
I mean, I was going to say, nor does a consumer care about what's, they may want the personalized experience, but they don't care about how that's working on the back end. They don't want that to impact their phone or their charging habits.
Yeah. And I was sitting next to this gentleman who was like talking about, he got a new smartphone with quote unquote AI on it. And he was just going on and on how it was pissing him off, all the AI stuff. He's like, why? Because it keeps suggesting things that, that I don't care about at that moment. Right. It just keeps annoying me. I'm like, what?
It's interrupting.
It prompts you, it interrupts what I'm trying to do if I'm writing, and I hate it. I'm like, oh, interesting. So, it goes back to this idea, the notion that everyone doesn't want to talk about, apparently, is these things have to learn. So to get the personalization, it has to screw up your life a little bit.
It has to
crap out of you until you get pissed off at it and you correct it. And the question here is, how much tolerance does someone have in babysitting an AI that they were told is going to change their life when it's not doing that during its learning curve? And how soon will they just turn the shit off?
But that all of that, right, is behavior, right? I mean, because it goes back to your point of why is it that these things are consistently listening, right? They don't talk back. They're listening because they're learning, and because they're learning, they're updating their actions. Mm-hmm. So it's a closed loop cycle that starts with the question from you, a response, was that good? Yes, no. And it's a continuous loop.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
kind of, because again, one of the strong limitation of the technology right now is there is training time and there is inference time. And the closed loop is not done. So they listen to you, but they're not training the models back again as you speak. So it's collecting, training a model, deploying the model, collecting, deploying the model. So
I'm like, is it training at night while we're sleeping?
It's fine, but it's not, as we said, training is extremely expensive in energy. So and that's one of the things this is where you can actually argue that we are far from the way human works.
Yeah.
Because the amount of energy that is consumed to train those models, don't compare to the 300 watt thing you have here.
Right.
And I wonder about the privacy thing. With all of the apps that we download, we're already opting into a million things. And now they're just going to be popping in AI on anytime you update your software. You've already opted in, and they're listening. You've already said yes, right? And will we get to a point where it will get so annoying with some users where they'll be pushing our government to say, hey, we want to opt out of some of these things?
Well, yes, like Debbie, when she was on the last show talking about, we don't have any privacy regulation, and
no, we don't.
This has been the case for decades. I mean, Facebook, Google capture every single move you do on the internet, and the data exists. They just have to apply model to it. I did a whole talk in Finland about that. By the way, it's published on YouTube. I will send you the link, guys.
Oh yeah.
We don't realize how much this data collection now connected with Gen AI is going to be awful. And by the way, the worst actually danger is that because this data exists, and now with those Gen AI things, you can actually program it just with language. Anybody that can access to the data can do stuff with it. You don't need a PhD in Python and data science to do anything like that. You can just load the stuff into a Gen AI model and ask questions, and we'll create a new GPT.
Time to get a cabin in the woods, I think, with no internet connection.
Exactly. Alstar Galactica, baby.
Well, I'm like, do we know if they're selling our data?
Well, I mean, in a number of instances, if you look at the latest privacy policy that was published, the public information that's out there is not included. So if your public information is out there, which all of ours is, it's not included in that privacy policy. So it can be accessed, and as Dimitri mentioned, it can be used. But the larger part around that for me is is we're coming over the top and trying to apply policies to horses that have already left the stable.
Yeah, totally. And it's worse than that.
So that's a great point. Yeah,
it's not even forward thinking, because I think I mentioned that in the past, but think about it this way. The right to be forgotten that exists in those privacy legislation, does that mean that they're going to have to detrain old models that use your data when you say, okay,
it's a good, there was a...
And this is where it becomes worse, because Gen AI, as you know, is very good at doing summaries. So you can get Dimitri data, run that into Gen AI, get the substance, and say, oh, sorry, Dimitri, I'm deleting your data, but I'm keeping the substance. So the problem is a derivative of the data value. And if we don't think derivatives, the same way we haven't thought about financials, we're going to get the same type of crisis we had in the past. It's a very good analogy, actually, derivatives of data compared to derivative in finance that created some of the awful crises we had in the past.
Looks like Leonard standing in front of something interesting. I don't know what he is showing.
Oh, no, these guys have literally, they're producing their own friggin' Dune movie here.
Oh, cool.
And they just got a blue screen there, right? And
hey, why not?
These guys are called Skyglass. Yeah, I'll talk to you later. But I'm on a podcast. And they do this crap.
Yeah, look at that.
Worm. He said this crap.
Oh, sorry.
It's awesome.
Crap. It's really cool stuff. Right?
I'd like to be in Dune.
See, he's smiling. He's not mad. He's not mad like that AI robot thing.
It's not going to slap you.
He's not going to slap me.
No,
I think, he has such a big smile on his face. I think he's going to kiss me.
So he's laughing. It's not AI.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. He just had a booth visitor. He was excited.
Lots of things to play with.
Oh my God. Well, no, that's pretty dope. That's friggin' ridiculous, right? You just need a blue screen, a bunch of funny looking costumes, and then you have Gen AI generate a crappy background for you.
It sounds like when I was a teenager, that would
make a B movie.
An awesome Sunday afternoon right there.
Yeah.
Remake my favorite.
Can you imagine
movies.
when you're a kid, dude? When I was like 8 years old, after I saw Star Wars, I wanted to make my own Star Wars movie.
Right.
Can kids can do that now. It's crazy.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And then they're making it so easy.
You don't have to just swing the broomstick around in the garage and pretend it's a lightsaber,
Exactly. There you go. Yeah. Well, it's not. Yeah, exactly. The broomstick, not the entire broom. Right. No. You got to take the bristles off. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
A lot of cool stuff. I think it's fantastic, like you said, for creatives, all the equipment that they can play with today, and kids, and and obviously it enables, the problem is when you enable everyone to be their own TV channel, you get what you get, right? Yeah. And that's the challenge.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But at least it's, the state of the art is becoming pretty impressive in terms of being able to capture and produce and create, which is fantastic. So
and actually, the point, Pete, is that it's not just the state of the art. Is that for a reasonably low budget now, you have the ability to express your creativity if there is creativity.
Exactly.
It's stupidity too, but at least
that's part of the deal, right? So
no, but it's great. I'm all for freedom of speech. So.
By the way, back to the AI training topic. There's all this news around copyrighted material that was used to train a lot of these big AI models. And so, to your point, Dimitri, about unwinding some of the training. I mean, who knows what may happen in the future if certain lawsuits happen and people are found to need to kind of unwind some things. But I think, training on your data, training on your personal data, training on your data that you own is going to be an important aspect moving forward for people using it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a complicated topic because, my continuously arguing mind said, okay, so then everybody that wrote a book that gave you an idea is going to ask some money of that idea. So it's a fine line of what is
how far back do you go, or
what is not, what is copyright, and there is a risk that everything becomes copyright in the world. So you're going to have to be very smart about that, which I'm not very optimistic about.
True. Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
But I think the transparent the audited, transparent nature of where the data comes from and how the model was trained is going to become really a requirement, and not just best practice, but
Totally, traceability is very important. I mean,
then people can decide what they're doing with it and what they're buying and what they're using and how they're deploying it. Right now, if we don't know, then you just, like you said, it's a black box. And
traceability, auditability, transparency.
Yeah.
But this is going to force changes in our societies as well. Just one last point on Leonard on this one, because one topic that I saw recently, Pete, that is related to that is, I saw this article somewhere saying that 80% of student work is now AI based, and the reaction is we have to prevent that. And my reaction was no, we have to change the way we measure students, and maybe measuring students on rewriting essays about things that have been solved for decades or centuries is not such a good idea.
Right.
We have to ask them to work on more.
You need to bring back the oral exam where they stand in front of the class and answer.
Yeah, and ask them to solve new problems as opposed to repeat existing problems that an AI can repeat. And that's one thing to me that we don't realize on the power of AI. The power of those so-called AI is that whatever has been discovered today, you can have access very quickly, very easily, assuming the data is right. So it should be a great tool to get you to do more. So we can fundamentally change the way we educate people.
Yeah. It depends.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What was that?
You were standing in front of an interesting car before with some gear on it.
That's the DJI booth. So those are all the rigs and camera systems that they have for cinematography. Everyone thinks that they do these drones for spying on, your neighborhood pool, but they're big here.
They do.
What are we talking about?
On your entire neighborhood.
Do you have a spy on your neighbor jacuzzi drone?
Yeah, that's what, you got to put like a little, you got to put one of those like covers over your pool. Yeah, we have
Iron Dome
flying around our
pools.
neighborhood, man. It's like freaking creepy as hell, man. You walk out and there's this like drone floating, maybe about 200 feet above you, and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, you need an Iron Dome for pools. I think that's a good consumer product. You can sell that.
Everybody's spying their own
little anti-aircraft, system.
Yeah. She's a good business model, a good new business to create.
Well, I mean, being in Texas,
at the end cap at Walmart, for $49, you can, set up.
If you're in Texas, it's easy. You just go get the gun and shoot the thing.
You don't even do that. You just apply a turret that's AI governed, and the minute that it's
sure. What could go wrong? An AI powered turret gun.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, like with my husband who flies helicopters, he has to get permits to fly over certain ranches. And I'm like, so he was always like, well, when are they going to do this with, when is the FAA going to step in and start doing way more with the drones? Because, they got it. Some of them have to get registered and all of these things, but there's so many consumer ones that are being sold. They're not able to enforce it.
Well, some drones have commercial drones for personal use have GPS systems that they tell you they can't fly in some area.
They have some walls.
There's no fly zones still.
Digital fences.
Oh
yeah, we have it down in Massachusetts. On the national seashore there, you can't fly drones. So now I don't know if it's actually hard coded, but it's certainly against the regulations. So if you're on the beach there and you see a drone, people are like, they freak out and you can't do that.
Yeah, the whole drone thing is like proof that you really need to do your homework before you put together a forecast predicting that drones are going to be the next big thing, next $1 billion opportunity, right? This is a cool event, man. They have so much cool stuff.
Like some cool gear down there, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
But hey, I wanted to go back to Bill's comment about our privacy, our private or personal data is already out there, and it's not. I don't think it should. The mentality shouldn't be giving up. I think, well, it's too late. Like a lot of people say, oh, privacy, who cares? It's already out there. There's nothing you can do about it. It's like, well, what about doing something about it? And doing that would require everyone to reset their thinking about what the solution would be. Right. And a lot of that is just acknowledging the problem, number one, because we have a lot of deniers out there who just have given up. Right. Number two, you have to think through, okay, how do we do we isolate the key issues that we need to tackle in order to get to a solution, given the current situation, right? Which is, it's pretty bad. But a future without like some command of privacy, man, that's like friggin'
right. Yeah,
it's very, very disturbing.
Yeah,
I mean, how does that make us different from like China? You know, the only difference is we have corporations that are dictating a lot of. They're controlling everything, because think about what marketing is about these days. Is that how do we monitor people's lives, understand their intent, and then control the outcome if there's an event or a trigger for something to happen, right? It's all about control.
Right.
And so how does that make us different? So, as a democratic society, or, one that, touts that we don't espouse dictatorial or, these non-democratic principles, guess what? We got some freaking serious work to do. And giving up on privacy is not a good first step. You know what I'm saying?
You can't give up on it. I mean, and the thing about it, though, is that you're going to have a faction of the populace that just really says, you know what? I really don't have the energy to fight this. So go fight it for me.
Yeah, that's fine. And,
that's what
make
government's for.
Give people the ability to opt in or opt out and have transparency and make choices about monetization. And people will do what they want to do. If they want to sell their information in exchange for some goods and services, then they can do that. Right. At least it's on the up and up, and it's not a surprise. So,
yeah, but consent is an illusion, because you lose control of that. I mean, guys, we use apps to figure out if we pay a subscription twice a month. So do you think you remember who you give consent? And especially when you're in a world of
you can come up with an app for that.
Yeah, there you go.
Probably true. Actually,
you get it from Norton all the time. You get it from Norton all the time and say, here's all your information on the dark web.
There you go. Like $29 a month. I don't remember subscribing to it,
but you make the problem worse, Leonard, because what people don't realize is those apps that tell them you're paying twice for Netflix actually collect all the information about all the transactions. So they are less protected after the app runs than before the app has run. Because there's even more data about them that has been sucked out of the system. So it's
at least you know where the choke point is, right? You know where the point of accountability is. And that's the thing. But then, the companies that have true purpose, right, and come to market with a legitimate solution for privacy, you shouldn't vilify them, which is one of the really funny things that I think about, how, the DOJ, what do you call it? The Department of Justice is coming at Apple saying you guys are use privacy as an excuse. And it's like, well, no, for the most part, they designed their products with privacy in mind. They can prove it versus other brands. Why are you giving them a hard time, not giving other companies that don't put privacy in mind, don't reflect that in their products and the way they deliver services? Why are you giving them a free pass? And so it's almost like maybe, I don't know. And same goes with Qualcomm. These guys invest tons in trusted privacy stuff on device. No one gives a crap about it. And these are companies that are kind of championing privacy. Why are you guys tearing them down? And that I don't get, especially regulators.
Right.
Well,
that is really weird.
I know we're getting over time, but one of my position when I made that talk about danger of democracy, only for the democracies for data and AI, is that it will have to go to a deeper level than just regulation. It will have to be at the level of constitutions, because it should have a constitutional right, like a human right, the data. If you don't do that, it will always be patched on top of it. So.
Well, I'd like to say, Leonard, I'm glad I'm not at that show, because I think I would really blow my budget on kind of cool gear and all kinds of other stuff.
Oh my God, dude! Anybody would blow their budget just buying one friggin' thing. You know how expensive these pieces of equipment are? Oh my God! If you go over to the Blackmagic designs, friggin' camcorders are ridiculously expensive. See, how much do you think this thing costs?
Whoa, yeah, there you go.
Too much.
That's the new IoT Coffee Talk studio right there.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's what we'll upgrade to when we hit like a million, a gajillion viewers. Yeah. All right. right, who wants to take us out?
Well, let's see.
No volunteers?
I'll do it. All right. So you have now suffered through yet another IoT Coffee Talk episode with Leonard on the move with all the coolest gear in the world. And we had such a wide
getting everybody dizzy
discussion.
Yeah.
We're all dizzy and envious of all the cool stuff there, but because we're all geeking out on the gear. But it's been great conversation. Keep in mind, Elevate Our Kids is the charity that we are working toward, which is helping kids bridge the digital equity divide. So go to elevateourkids.org to make sure you contribute and support the mission.
Get a t-shirt.
And you can get a t-shirt, cool gear, and all kinds of stuff. So please do that as well. Subscribe, tell your friends to tell some friends, and we'll get to that jillion. We basically need to get, upgrade to this like high studio quality gear that Leonard's looking at here. So we need more viewers.
We want funds to buy one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And until next time.
Protect your privacy.
Protect your privacy.
Yeah.
Protect the privacy. Follow your data.
Right.
Protect your privacy like you protect your private.
There you go.
Yes. Please.
And on that note.
Cut that one out.
Okay. Fix it in post.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, actually, it's true. So, anyway.
All right.
See you guys.